Man, absolutely no music tonight
I
on the
know. I was
intro.
like,
I was like, man, that's a pretty bad thing. We got to get some intro music on the show here. Hey guys, it's Rudy Campos Jr., Trey Collis. We are sweeping the league again tonight. Looks kind of weird. I feel like I'm an on-site reporter trying to do the news like they do on Ken's 5 or KSAT 12. No, you can tell no boom stand anywhere, no mic stand because it decided to break on me 5 minutes before the show. So I'm holding the mic tonight. So definitely I'm going to rock the mic, can we say, tonight on Sweep the League. So
yeah, you can definitely rock that mic.
I can pull that off. We're gonna get into some NFL talk. We are doing our NFL preview show tonight. Last week we previewed the AFC West and the NFC West. Unfortunately, Coach Gio is not going to be able to join us tonight. Work has him working extra hard tonight. You're going to have to put up with myself and Trey Collis. Not on a difficult night. We're covering the AFC South and the NFC South. One division I know very well. The other division that's kind of a yawn type thing. But we'll get into all those teams tonight for the AFC South, NFC South. Trey, what's up, man? It's Wednesday night. How are you feeling tonight, man? You ready to get the show on the road?
Oh, I'm rock and rolling, man. I'm ready to go. It's been 2 weeks. I'm ready to talk some NFL. Let's get at it. Let's not waste any more time.
Hell yeah. No more wasting time at all, brother. No more wasting time. And we're not going to waste any time. We are in the state of Texas, and the state of the Houston Texans is pretty damn bad, as you can tell. We've got their player to watch is the NFL draft for the Houston Texans. Why? Because the Texans should be the absolute worst team in the NFL this season. We have no idea what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson at all. None whatsoever. We don't know if he's going to play this year. We don't know if he's going to be traded. What did the Texans bring in? They brought in Mark Ingram, Phillip Lindsay, two running backs who, again, it reminds me of like the San Antonio Spurs when we bring in like Tracy McGrady at the fair end of his tail,
Right.
Dominique Wilkins at the very end of his career, bringing in Rex Burkhead. It's nothing really big they brought in. They lost a lot of players in the offseason as well. 4-12 last season. Trey, can we see the undefeated losing season for the Houston Texans this year? Or do you think that the Texans are going to actually pull out some victories? Because I just don't see it, especially if Watson isn't going to play.
I think you just said it right there. I think it all depends on if Watson's going to play or not. The NFL is kind of dragging their feet on that. I don't know what's going on. I actually think Watson's going to play this year. I'm the front of. I think the NFL, they would have done something. They would have already put on the exempt list already. I don't think they would have been dragging their feet and waiting until week 1 because remember, none of the civil suits are going to be heard till after February anyway. So I think the NFL is waiting for all that to unfold. But even been said, Watson has no weapons at all to think of, even if he does play. And Texans might hold him out and trade him by the trade deadline too. So who knows about anything about that. But I think they have a chance to win a couple of games. The only reason I'm saying that is because I think they have Jacksonville. And Jacksonville's a young upcoming team, and I think they could probably win one of those, win a home game against Jacksonville. Even though I think Jacksonville's going to be a step up this year, but I think one of those games, I think they can easily beat Jackson. Not easily beat Jacksonville, but I think they can beat Jacksonville maybe. But I just – I think I wouldn't shock me if they go. It'd be the first team to go 0-17. But I never. It's NFL. Everyone usually, when unless you're the Detroit Lions, everyone at least wins one game. They have one slip up every now and then from another team slipping or sleeping, and you just catch them on. And Texans are on a good day, so. It's hard for me to say that they're going to go 0-17. I say they get at least one win. I say they're going to go 1-16 this year because they have no weapons, but they need to go ahead and tank and get the number 1 overall draft pick if they have draft pick this year. I can't remember all their draft scenarios that they've and all the trades that they have.
That's true because I didn't. You're right. I mean, really, it's just the draft. They're going to have to look forward to the draft. I mean, not only that, if you got Deshaun Watson, say he doesn't play this season, or again, Deshaun Watson is the only asset that you have for the Houston Texans right now. You've got so many holes on this team, so many parts to get, and so many positions that you've got to fill. I really feel you've got to move Deshaun Watson. Not only that, you've got to also move a player like Laramie Tunsil as well.
Yes.
Just gut this entire team, get what you can for everybody, and look towards the future. The draft is where you're going to build any type of contender for this team. You're not going to attract a lot of these free agents that, we can attract this guy. No, Deshaun has pretty much kind of screwed the Texans already by what's going on with him behind the scenes. You've got to get some value for him. You have valuable players, like we mentioned. You can go and trade Deshaun. You can go and trade a Laramie Tunsil. Even though he's injured, he's out right now. Well, not injured, but he's out right now. You can still go get him, get something for him. Go get something for some of these players, especially through the draft. You've got to build through the draft. This is the year that the Texans have to make up for all of Bill O'Brien's basically messed up deals that he made. You've got to make moves now. You've got to look towards the future. I don't see the Texans winning any games. I'm saying it right now. I think we see the perfect, imperfect season happen for the Texans. 0-16. You say somebody will catch, a good day by them. It's very possible. I don't see it happening. The only team I can maybe see them winning a game over, and it's very likely to me, I'm thinking about it, is the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of the teams that we're going to preview tonight. I mean, that's one team. Fantasy value for the Houston Texans. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, if he plays, has fantasy value. He doesn't have the receiving core that he'd had in the past. He doesn't have the running game that he's got in the past. But Deshaun Watson, as one of our Sweep the League columnists, Austin Hartsfield, told me this morning, he's good for at least 4 wins. I don't see it, but he said he's good for at least 4 wins. Fantasy value, you've got Deshaun Watson. Outside of Deshaun Watson, man, I don't see very much value anywhere on this team. Do you see anything value-wise, fantasy-wise? Because, again, we are brought to you by Project Spurs and by DraftKings. We've got to get these value picks in there for DraftKings. Do we stay away from the Houston Texans?
I stay far away from the Houston Texans. Even I can't – not even their special teams, their kicker, nothing. Deshaun Watson, I would even stay away from him this year. I see nobody. Stay away from the Houston Texans for sure.
Yeah, and we've actually got one of our new guys, our new columnist here, our new host here for Sweep the League. He's actually on the fantasy countdown with us. Will Haverland joining us now. Will's in here saying he'll bet me a bowling ball that the Texans win at least a game. I don't think I'm going to take that bet because I can't see them winning one game. I'm just calling it now the perfect, imperfect season. I think it's 0-16, but I do see them possibly winning the game. It's got to be against Jacksonville. I mean, it's got to be against Jacksonville that they win that game. I don't see anything, but as far as you're right, man, fantasy value, there's not much fantasy value there at all when it comes to the Houston Texans outside of Deshaun Watson. I unfortunately have David Johnson on one of my fantasy teams because of Dynasty. I drafted him a couple of years back. I need to trade David Johnson. Hopefully I can get some peanuts for him because that's about all I will be able to get for David Johnson. Let's move on, man. The Houston Texans, not much to talk about. Let's go right into the next team here. Indianapolis Colts. This is a very, very tricky team for me. One of our very own, Austin Hartsfield, is a huge Indianapolis Colts fan. They went out and they added Carson Wentz. I can't lie. The Carson Wentz addition makes a lot of sense for the Indianapolis Colts. They've got a great offensive line. They've got a great running back. Their wide receiving core is stout. It's really good. We're talking Paris. We're talking T.Y. Hilton. We're also talking about Michael Pittman as well. You've got a very good receiving core. If Carson Wentz can stay healthy, could this be the surprise team in the AFC? I mean, all the pieces are there. The defense is still good too. This is one of those teams that can really take it to everybody and surprise people.
You just asked $1 billion question. Can Carson Wentz stay healthy? He has yet to proven he can stay healthy for 17 games throughout his tenure in the NFL. If he can stay healthy, the reemergence of him and Frank Wright as a head coach, who was the offensive coordinator for him when they won the Super Bowl, when he had that MVP caliber year till he tore the ACL against the Rams on that Sunday night. Mm-hmm. If he can stay healthy, even if he doesn't stay healthy, I still think they have a legitimate shot to at least go to the AFC Championship or make a deep run in the playoffs. Because I looked at the preseason game with Eason. This guy is no joke. He's going to be a starter in this league for sure for some team. I don't know who's going to be.
But he can't get away from Ellinger. Ellinger looked good too.
Ellinger threw a pick right at the beginning of the game and beginning of his series, and then he bounced back and went on TD drive. He looked good too. I think it's the Frank Wright effect. I think that they're in a better spot right now. Like you said, they have all the weapons on the wide receiver. The offensive line is talented. Their defense is stacked. I don't have them winning the AFC South. I actually have the Tennessee Titans, but I would not be shocked if they do. They're going to make the playoffs for sure. I it would not surprise me one bit if they do make it all the way to the AFC Championship game and face the Kansas City Chiefs.
Could we potentially see the Indianapolis Colts here as a Super Bowl team? I'm not saying they can get there, but as a contender to get to the Super Bowl. I think they've got enough power, enough defense, enough offensive power to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. I really do. If Carson Wentz stays healthy, this team is that team that could uproot the Kansas City Chiefs.
If everything, to me personally, I think everything has a perfect align, like perfect matchup for them, playoffs, perfect. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are by way far the best team in the AFC, probably the best team in the NFL right now. But if everything lines out perfectly and they have a break or two go their way, then heck yeah, I can definitely see them. But that's every team, right? So, but I put them in the rare top form of Super Bowl caliber teams right now. I would not be shocked if they actually do make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all, man. And I know our good friends over at Sports by the Numbers was talking about Indianapolis Colts because I heard the show this past weekend, and Dustin was talking about how this team definitely could be a Super Bowl team. And I've actually been alongside that as well, talking to Austin Hartsfield as well, one of the guys from the league, being a Colts fan that he is. This is a team that I'm pretty excited for. I mean, you can get excited for this Indianapolis team. I think we haven't seen a balanced Indianapolis Colts team like this since back in the Manning days, when it was Manning, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, those guys. This team kind of reminds me just like that. You just got to milk as much as you can out of a healthy to semi-healthy Carson Wentz, and this team can go very, very far. And let's be real, brother. They went out with their first pick and got Kwity Paye. I mean, a defensive end there that is going to be able to help them on the defensive side, where they've already been pretty good on the defensive side already. So this team, even without Carson Wentz, I still think I agree with you. Eason and Ellinger are two guys that can definitely add value to this Colts team and make them a contender, Super Bowl contender. I think the jury's still out on that. Fantasy value, man. Give me some fantasy value as far as the Indianapolis Colts go, because like I said, if you want to get on DraftKings, go now. Sign up. The season is about to start. Go to DraftKings. Get your fantasy teams ready on DraftKings. It's daily fantasy. They've got, the snake draft. They've got a lot of other stuff. You can go out there, get your salary cap in there as well. Get some teams ready to go for this season on DraftKings. Sponsored by Project Spurs as well. DraftKings. This is Sweep the League. We're covering AFC, NFC South tonight. Trey, fantasy value for all the DraftKings peoples out there. What do you got fantasy-wise, brother?
Oh, definitely. I'll pick up Jonathan Taylor, probably as your number 2 running back. He's going to be probably mid-round first pick for a lot of players. He's going to give you a lot of points. T.Y. Hilton's going to get, especially if Eaton is filling in for Carson Wentz and Carson Wentz is staying healthy, T.Y. Hilton is going to have a great year this year. Also, I would not be shocked. Pick up the Indianapolis Colts defense if you need to. If you need a good, solid defense, that defense is going to be stacked. I see no holes in that defense right now. I mean, just look what they did last year. They only got better this year in the offseason. Those are the 3 main factors I would look for in the fantasy DraftKings era.
Yeah, brother. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, and, we talked to Will this past weekend about Jonathan Taylor. He makes a great point. It's one of those guys that running behind the right side of the line, left side of the line, he's going to make a difference. And he's one of those guys where you're drafting in fantasy. It's like, do you draft him here? Do you draft him there? We're going to get with Will on that, but I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be a really good draft pick this year. It just depends on where you get him. That's the value on Jonathan Taylor. Also, take flyers on these wide receivers, brother. Mm-hmm. These wide receivers, you've got 3 wide receivers that can make a total difference and can make your season, especially a guy like Paris, especially a guy like Michael Pittman. These guys can make your season that much better. I expect T.Y. Hilton to maybe take a little bit step, in the right direction. He's kind of had an off year a couple of years back. I think he's going to be back this year. Let's hope we get a healthy Carson Wentz.
Well, T.Y. Hilton has not had a quarterback to throw to him. I mean, he had Phillip Rivers, but he couldn't throw the deep ball. Well, and then where they had Jacoby Brissett another year, so he wasn't much. He didn't have a good. Now he has a pretty good quarterback that can throw the ball down deep. And look for T.Y. Hilton to have a bounce back year this year, and look for him to score you a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah, man, we're all go on the Colts. That is for dang sure. We're all go on the Colts here. We're going to move on to our next team here. Before we line it up, I want to give you guys a little shout out here. This past Friday, HTO which is HTEAO, over at Medical Center. They just opened up. That tea is amazing. We're going to be going out there and visiting our friends over at HTO Medical Center. They just opened up last Friday. We're going to go out there, have some tea. Join us out there. We'll give you all the details when we head out there. Again, HTO over at the Medical Center just opened up. Great owners, great ownership, great place to go. It's been rocking and rolling. We're going to head out there very, very soon here. Let's bring up the next team, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The one team that we say could be upset by the Houston Texans. I still don't buy it. We've got some comments here. Let's get to some comments, man. We've got Gabriel Garcia. Marlon Mack should be back too. That's the only thing from spending a top pick on Taylor. Yeah. I mean, Marlon Mack, you've got a crowded backfield. You've got Jonathan Taylor. You've got Marlon Mack. You've got Nyheim Hines. Don't forget Hines. He came in and actually dominated a little bit last year as well. It's a crowded backfield in Indianapolis. But if you're going to go get Jonathan Taylor, go grab a Marlon Mack later on in the drafts for fantasy. If you don't get a Marlon Mack, we need a handcuff Taylor with maybe a Nyheim Hines. All these guys are going to get some run, definitely. He also said, I had Taylor last year, and he did well. Yeah, the thing is that offensive line has to be healthy for Jonathan Taylor to do his magic. I think the offensive line should be good. The one big question mark was Quentin Nelson. He should be good to go early in the season. No problems there at all. Definitely go get you some Jonathan Taylor, just like Gabriel Garcia did. Jonathan Taylor would be a massive, massive addition for all you fantasy owners out there, whether it be in daily fantasy on DraftKings or on your regular fantasy team. To get into right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars and one sunshine himself, Trevor Lawrence, man. I know Jacksonville's got a decent squad. Their defense is pretty decent. They're not going to move heaven and earth. They're not going to move mountains. They're not going to do any of that. They did add Trevor Lawrence to the draft. Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence's own backfield mate. I mean, Travis Etienne, a good addition there. They also added Rashawn Jenkins, Shaquille Griffith, Chris Manhertz. Decent additions. You have James Robinson. You have DJ Chark there already. Can we expect anything from Jacksonville? I think they're going to get more than one win than they had last year. But Trevor Lawrence, man, is he the answer for the Jaguars, or is this just going to be another scenario where Trevor may start, but we may see the emergence of one porn star himself, Gardner Minshew, back in the mix of things?
Man, give me Trevor Lawrence all day, every day, man. I watched his first preseason game on Saturday. He has no offensive line. He's going to be running for his life back there. That offensive line.
Exactly.
So if I'm Trevor Lawrence, maybe I shouldn't have played that well because maybe I won't get hurt. Maybe we get some good draft picks or some free agents coming in next year. But he was very poised in the pocket. He looked really good. He threw a lot of good completed a lot of third down conversions, pressure situations, stuff like that. He threw the ball with zip. He throws the ball deep ball better than anybody I've seen in the rookie class so far, pinpoint accuracy, that is. And I'm all in on Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to be the next best quarterback. He's going to have his hiccups, of course, but I think this year, I'm all in on the Jacksonville. I think they're going to win at least 5 or 6 games this year. I think you're going to see Urban Meyers get better each week coaching this team. I think you're going to get better and better as the weeks go on. But like you said, getting Travis Etienne in a running back, he can do everything. You can put him in the slot. You can move him in motion, swing pass it, give it to him on first, second down. He can make plays, punt return, all that good stuff. I love Travis Etienne as well. And like you said, that the defense is going to be their bread and butter throughout the rest of the season. The key addition to Shaquille Griffin, I saw he had a great first preseason game. Now, granted, I know it's preseason, but he looked everything like a number one cornerback in the league a team should have. And I just think this defense is going to have to carry the offense for the first 3 or 4 weeks until the offense gets under their feet and Trevor Lawrence gets acquitted to the NFL style, how much more faster it is and everything like that. So I'm all in on the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple of great players. I think they're going to be a whole lot better than last year. They're going to have a slip up every now and then, again, probably against the Houston Texans or someone like that. And I just think just because they're young, right? I just think that's the only reason. But I'm all in on Trevor Lawrence. I think he throws the best ball out of all these rookie quarterbacks coming in. I think that he's very poised. He's a proven winner. The moment they can get to him, he's a proven winner.
He is.
The only games he's lost in college were championship games or one championship game.
So he can't win the big one. That's what you're telling me. He can't win the big one.
He won championship as a freshman. He did not. Just saying.
Man, okay. I hear what you're saying, and that's offensive line is just going to be terrible.
It
But
is.
I feel bad for Trevor. I feel really bad. I think we're going to see Trevor in a lot of shotgun this year. I think so because that offensive line is gruesome. But hey, week 1, they play the Houston Texans. Could that be 1-0 for the Texans? I mean,
it could. Well, the first game's always tricky, right? Because it's the first game of the season. You really don't have much tape to go on besides the preseason games and stuff. You don't know what system. It's always a tricky game. The first one's always a hard one after the off season. So that's why I'm thinking maybe the Houston Texans win their first, just like Jacksonville did, right? They won their first game last year and then they lost the rest of their games. So I think that the same thing's going to happen this year with the Houston Texans. I think the Houston Texans are going to upset the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think they're going to lose the rest of their games.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. I'm looking at, man, I looked at the show and I'm thinking, damn it, I forgot to change the title. It's the Fantasy Countdown title. We are doing Sweep the League. Guys, bring in all your fantasy questions. It doesn't matter if we're doing Sweep the League or Fantasy Countdown, whatever. Bring all your fantasy questions. It's fantasy season right now. Chris Hernandez is in here. Hernandez is saying, thoughts on Chase Claypool? Hey, when it comes to Chase Claypool, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I am actually all in on Claypool right now. I expect him to have a really good season this year. You're looking at a guy like Juju. I mean, not Juju, I'm sorry. With Chase Claypool, it all comes down to Ben, man. And Ben still has it. So I would say you're going to go out. You definitely go get Chase Claypool at all times. I'm all in on Claypool. You got any thoughts on Claypool? Because I got a couple more, but I want to get you in there as well so we can get Chris an answer here for Chase Claypool.
Oh, I'm all in on Chase Claypool. I think he had an outstanding year last year as a rookie. I just think that he can catch any ball that's thrown up to him. He can go up at the highest point and get it. And I think that he's fast. I think he can catch. I'm all in on Chase Claypool. I love Chase Claypool. Even though I don't like the Steelers, I'm all in on him.
Why don't you like the Steelers, man? Come on, you gotta love the Steelers.
Well, no. Actually, I like Mike Tomlin. I like Juju. I just don't, because I'm a Cowboy fan and my dad's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I can't go with him.
Oh my God. Okay, so
I think he's I think he's the best head coach in the league.
Yeah, he is definitely. And let's go back to last year for Chase Claypool, since we'll get on some fantasy talk right now. 62 receptions, 873 yards, 9 touchdowns. Definitely is going to be way above that. I mean, like Will's saying, one of our experts on fantasy football, Will Haverland here at Sweep the League, basically saying Claypool's the man. I mean, the comparison is to Megatron. I can kind of see that. I don't know if there's ever going to be another Megatron out there, but Claypool is the man in Pittsburgh. He's gonna easily put up those stats and more this coming season. So definitely, Chris, I mean, if you have any thoughts on drafting Chase Claypool, if you haven't drafted him or he's on your dynasty team, definitely want to keep Chase Claypool. Draft Chase Claypool. Depending on where you get him, that's the key. I mean, you don't want to spend, obviously, a first, second round pick on Chase Claypool. He's going to be there in the later part of the rounds. But definitely, if you have an option or a chance to get Chase Claypool, go get him. Go get him. So definitely good question. Real quick, man, let's get to some fantasy value on the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is Sweep the League. We're going through the AFC and the NFC South divisions tonight. You are sweeping the league with us, brought to you by Project Spurs and DraftKings. It is fantasy football time. Drafts are coming up. Go sign up for DraftKings. Get ready for the daily fantasy experience of your life. Fantasy value trade. There is value. James Robinson has value. Travis Etienne has value. Does Trevor Lawrence have value is the question here. He's got a good receiver in DJ Chark. But again, that offensive line, Jesus, I don't know how much value Trevor Lawrence has in a regular standard fantasy league. Daily fantasy is different, but in regular fantasy football, is he being drafted?
Trevor Lawrence, if I'm drafting, I wouldn't mind like late in the rounds, maybe as your backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. Maybe to see how he progresses through the year, and then if he does well, then you can start him. If he's doing that great, or if he's doing that terrible, you can always plumb him away and get someone off the wire. Just depends how much people are in your league, if it's 12, 14, 8, whatever the case may be. But I would definitely draft him. That's definitely as your number 2, maybe if you're doing 3 quarterbacks, which is totally dumb, but definitely number 2, number 2 quarterback. But I'm all in on Travis Etienne. I've seen this guy play at Clemson. This guy can catch the ball in the backfield. He can catch screen passes and take them deep. He can help your defense / special teams on punt return, kick returns if they do put him back there. He can run the ball. He can get the holes quick. He can get you some yards in that. I'm all in on that. And then I think the wideout Chark, I think he'll have a great year too. So I think there's a couple good value picks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I went totally set. And then their defense too. If you need a defense from 1 week, pick them up because that defense is going to carry that team for a while. So that's a good addition.
You're right on the defense. I mean, like you said, they went out and got a Rayshon Jenkins, a Shaquille Griffin. I mean, Miles Jack is definitely one of the guys, especially if you're drafting an IDP. In an IDP league, Miles Jack is one guy you definitely want to go get. I mean, he's definitely one guy that you definitely can get in an IDP draft. But yeah, the value for the Jacksonville Jaguars defense-wise, I mean, you got to remember, they played the Texans twice. I mean, so they're going to get some good value out of that. So you definitely want to take a flyer on them, even on daily fantasy. Daily fantasy, they'd be a really good pickup because they're probably not going to be expensive. So you won't have to spend so much money on the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, and you should be able to get a few points out of them no matter what. They do have fantasy value. This is sweep the league. I was going to say the fantasy countdown. No, it's sweep the league. We're sweeping the league, the NFL tonight. Next team on the docket, man. Last team in the AFC South. Your team, because you said this team is going to win the AFC South.
I do.
I can totally agree with that, man. I can't agree with that. I'm wondering, are they Super Bowl bound by what they added to this team? I asked the question, are they Super Bowl bound? I don't know. I mean, Julio Jones is a major addition. But do they have enough? Their defense is their defense. Adding Julio Jones adds a lot of depth. So, quick question on that. Super Bowl bound. Is this a team that can get to the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah, they can get to, but it's all going to be predicated on their defense, right? I mean, their defense let them down so many times last year. The defense was like middle of the pack, maybe 20th or whatever the case. I can't remember. But their defense needs to step up big time to help this offense out. Now, their offense can help out with Derrick Henry as well, running the ball and keeping the ball away and resting that defense. And just like the Cowboys did in 2016, where if you rest that defense and they're only out there a limited time, then that defense would be probably top-notch in the league. But this offense is stacked. There's no whole offense. You got A.J. Brown, then you got Julio Jones, a key addition, and then you got Derrick Henry after you contain those two guys, and you got Derrick Henry running a wild all year, and he gets stronger throughout the rest of the game. And then Ryan Tannehill, he's proven to be a pretty solid quarterback. I mean, some people have him top 10 in fantasy. I'm not one of those guys, but he's definitely a good player to have. If you're struggling to find a quarterback, I think that he would be a great addition to your draft team. So I think that they have all the weapons in the world to get to the Super Bowl.
You know, they seem like they do. I just don't think that they're going to be that team there. I kind of give the edge to the Colts, man. I really do. I'm not saying the Colts are going to win the division, but as far as teams that are built for that Super Bowl spot, I think Tennessee's still lacking just a little bit, somewhere in there. I really can't pinpoint it. I mean, your receiver, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, you got to stop them. But what happens? You stop them, who the hell is going to stop Derrick Henry?
Exactly.
I mean, the offense is going to put up numbers. They're gonna move the ball. It's ground and pound, and you've got two massive wide receivers. So the offense is there. The offensive line is stout. It's good. It's great. It's gonna get the job. Their defense is good. There's on paper, this team should compete for a AFC title game appearance minimum. Should compete for that AFC title game minimum. Havlin's asking, who's their tight end? Jeff Swain, Anthony Frisker are their top two tight ends. This is where Janus Smith is probably going to be missed. I think Janus Smith. I don't have much confidence in Jeff Swain at all. I have confidence in Frisker, but I don't have much confidence in Swain. This is where I think Janus Smith makes a difference, and that's the reason why I don't see them taking that next step into, yes, they are going to be Super Bowl contenders. I don't see that. Is that enough to make you feel like this team can't get to the Super Bowl? Forget Kansas City. Forget them. Is that enough reason to say they cannot compete with Kansas City to get to that Super Bowl?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I'm with you, Rudy. It's always one thing missing with this team. Like, I just can't pinpoint it either. Maybe it is a tight end position. Maybe it is their defense. Maybe it's just one thing. It's just one thing that keeping me from guaranteeing them going, like, making the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think with Julio Jones, he's got to stay healthy throughout the whole year. You know better than anybody. That foot injury.
Why do you got to throw it on me, bro?
That foot injury, and then he's not a very good. He gives you a lot of yards, but he doesn't give you that TD, those TDs that you need in the red zone that the Atlanta Falcons needed back in the day. So, I mean, I'm just looking at the AFC as a whole, and I only see maybe 3 or 4 contenders in Colts, Titans, Chiefs, and maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers if Ben has a good year. That's the only Super Bowl caliber teams I can see, and so I'll put them in the upper level of those top 4 teams to make that's the only reason I see their Super Bowl. They could be Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. So fantasy value, man. We just said it. Their offense is going to be flying off the boards. I mean, You're going to take Julio. You're going to take AJ Brown. You're going to take Derrick Henry. Henry will probably be the top 3. Definitely top 4, but he should go in the top 3. I mean, you're talking a guy who has been murdering the league the past couple of years. Ryan Tannehill, Gio and I have this argument all the time. Is Ryan Tannehill going to be a top 10 QB? More so ever, I'm on the side of yes, he'll be a top 10 QB this season. I mean, you don't add a Julio Jones and keep an AJ Brown and not be a top 10 quarterback. I mean, the guy, there's no reason why Tannehill cannot be top 10 this year. They have all the potential in fantasy. Defensive, again, another team you can go and get and use on the defensive side as well. So fantasy value for me, it's all there. The tight end position is the one you're going to stay away from. Anything you see on fantasy that screams, other than Henry, Julio, and AJ, I mean, it's no brainer. You want to draft them if they're available in certain rounds.
Oh, yeah. I'll buy in on this offense, man. The only tight end position, like you said, is the only question mark on this team. Derrick Henry is going to be a top 3 running back, maybe number 1 overall pick in a lot of leagues, maybe top 2, whatever they could. Definitely number 1 running back in your league. Julio Jones, A.J. Brown's both going to be number 1 wide receivers in your league as well. Tannehill's a question mark for me. Do you start? I mean, he's gotten better each and every year. I mean, in the playoffs a couple of years ago when they went to the AFC Championship game, he threw the ball very well. So is he a top 10? I guess this year we'll see for sure because he has all the weapons. There's no excuses for him this year. He has all the weapons in the world. If he's a top 10, then definitely go out and get you a Ryan Tannehill for starting, especially if you're in a 14 league and all the quarterbacks are already taken and you need like a Ryan Tannehill, but you have a great running back and a great receiving core and a tight end, then go ahead and get Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, man. I mean, Tannehill, I think he's going to be one of those guys you're going to want to go get. And you can probably get him late. I mean, you're probably talking, oh, man.
4th round,
I mean, 6th round, maybe?
Maybe
5th, 6th, 7th round. I mean, for me, that's value there. If you can get him that late, that's especially 7th round. I mean, that'd be you go get him.
That's a steal. Let's just if you get 7 or later.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of value there for Tennessee. So we're going to switch conferences now. Switch divisions. We just covered the AFC South. I've got the Colts winning that division. Trey's got the Titans winning that division. We're going to switch conferences. We're going to go over to the NFC South. Before we do, again, guys, brought to you by Project Spurs. Go like everything Project Spurs does. They cover everything Spurs related. Great writers, great content. Go to Project Spurs. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Twitter. Excuse me. On Twitter, you can go to Project Spurs, find their website, look at all the great content. Michael DeLeon out there does a tremendous job. Him and his staff do everything. We actually do a lot of work with Project Spurs as well. Not only that, DraftKings, man. DraftKings. Go to DraftKings. Sign up today because fantasy football is back. Season starts in a few weeks, man. So you want to get those lineups. We'll be here every single week, every Sunday, 10 to 11 on the Fantasy Countdown. We'll give you your winning lineups. We don't guarantee wins, but we guarantee that we'll give you the absolute best lineup to make sure you are a champion just like all of us in your fantasy football league. But definitely go support DraftKings. Watch us on the Fantasy Countdown every Sunday, 10 to 11. Even though this says the Fantasy Countdown, this is Sweep the League. Trey Collis, Rudy Campos Jr. Like I said, let's switch gears here, man. We're going to go from one conference, one extreme to the other. Let me bring up the I don't definitely want to talk about this team because they've broken my heart so many years. But let's hit it quick and let's hit it fast, man. The Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds themselves. I have the privilege of being an Atlanta Falcons fan. Many people say, why are you a Falcons fan? Well, San Antonio's own Tommy Nobis was Mr. Falcon himself. That's the reason why I'm a Falcon fan. My dad was a big Tommy Nobis fan, so I support the Falcons for that reason. And not only that, I go accustomed to the Man in Black, Jerry Glanville. I mean, you've also had Deion Sanders, one of my favorite Falcons of all time, Sean Jefferson, wide receiver. I have his jersey actually in my closet, so you can basically, I am a Falcon fan. More so ever, I've been a huge guy against Matt Ryan until this season. I'm going to be a little softer on Matty Ice. I think this is his swan song right here. This is probably the final straw for Matt Ryan. They went out and got a Kyle Pitts to the draft. You went out and traded Julio Jones. It's kind of like you gave one away to get another one. Kyle Pitts is going to give you a lot of good production. Calvin Ridley is going to be really good this season. Their running game, I don't see very much at all. I have very low expectations. 4-12 last season. I expect the same thing. 4-12, maybe. Well, not 4-12. 4-13, maybe 5-12. Trey, can you save me from the Atlanta heartache that I have each and every year?
Well, they're not going to finish last in their division. That makes you feel better. I mean,
you have New Orleans as last, don't you?
No, I don't actually.
Wow, you have Carolina as last?
Carolina.
Okay. Give me the reason why you say they're not going to fall last.
Well, just because I think Matty Ice is going to have a little bit of a backup, a bounce back year this year. Calvin Ridley last year had an astounding year. He proven that he can be a number one wideout for that team. And then you got Kyle Pitts, who basically unguardable at any. You can double team, he'll still go up and catch the ball and stuff. So I just think that their offense is going to be all right. Their defense is going to be all right. But I think they're a mediocre team. I think they might win 6 games, 7 games. I'm a little more higher than you are on that. But I just like Calvin Ridley. I think Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley have a chemistry right now, a connection that's going to work out for them and win a couple games. Then adding Kyle Pitts as well. I just think having that offense is they're going to score a couple more points than they did last year. And I think they're going to win a couple more games. That's the only reason I think they're going to outlast the Carolina Panthers for the last place.
Okay. You talked me off the ledge a little bit.
Dude, Calvin Ridley's the number one wideout, man. That guy was a stud last year.
Yeah. I mean, I love me some Calvin Ridley. And I love me some Matt Ryan this year. Not much. Little bit. It's more than I've loved him in the past. But this is
the year that Matt Ryan's going to have a good year because all the pressure's off him, right? I mean.
You would think so. You think he has another MVP type year?
Not an MVP type year because I don't think they're going to have that great of a record, but I think that he's going to have a great yardage, great percentage, great TD interception. I think all the numbers will be good.
Okay. All right. So you talked me off the ledge. Let's get some fantasy value here. All in on Kyle Pitts. You're all in. Top. I think he's the 4th tight end to come off your board. In my opinion, he should be the 4th tight end to come off your board. You can maybe make a case as the 3rd. I mean, we talked about George Kittle last week with San Francisco. With Trey Lance in there, I think that does devalue Kittle if he does end up starting. Garoppolo does add value to Kittle, but I think right now, if you see Trey Lance coming in, I think it does devalue Kittle a little bit there. So I can definitely see Kyle Pitts going before Kittle if we do see that happening. Matt Ryan's going to be that quarterback you get later in the rounds. I mean, if you're drafting stud running back, stud wide receiver, and you need that QB, Matt Ryan, he's definitely going to put up some numbers for you as far as fantasy goes. Calvin Ridley should be one of the top wide receivers to come off the board very early. Stay away from the defense. The Falcons team hasn't been able to stop a nosebleed. Don't get any part of the defense. I'm not sold on the defense. What fantasy value do you have, Trey?
I'm all in on Kevin Ridley, man. Kevin Ridley, I think he's going to be number one wideout on your team. Where no matter where you draft him, I think he's going to be your number one wideout. Kyle Pitts, top four, like you said, top four tight end. He's going to put outstanding numbers this year. The guy's basically unguardable. If you saw anything at Florida when he played those games in the SEC, we all know the SEC is basically the amateur football league for the NFL. So he's putting up those numbers in college. He's definitely going to do it with a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, but a good, solid quarterback in Matt Ryan, who's been there, done that, been to the Super Bowl, even though he blew it. But I'm all in on those two guys. Matt Ryan, like you said, I'll get him maybe fifth, sixth round. I'm a little higher up than you, just depending on where you fall in your draft and where you are standing in your team.
Yeah, for sure. There is some value there. Definitely. There's always some value on the offensive side for the Atlanta Falcons. You can find value there. Kyle Pitts, Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, definitely three guys that you want to go out and get in your fantasy drafts. Next, moving on, the Carolina Panthers, the one team that Trey says they are going to be dead last in the NFC South.
Yep.
Well, okay. I was hoping the Falcons would be dead last because that means we'd get another good pick going into next year. But since you're killing my hopes of the Falcons being last in the division, meaning that they're going to be a little bit better, the Carolina Panthers, man, they went out and they added Sam Darnold. They had Teddy Bridgewater last year. Teddy's not bad. Teddy didn't do a bad job. But you go out and get Sam Darnold. Can we expect anything more from Sam Darnold? Who knows? Christian McCaffrey is the man in Carolina. I'm going to light a candle and say a prayer for Christian McCaffrey, because I think it's going to be hell for him. Yep. And I think it does affect fantasy value for Christian McCaffrey. He is going number one in just about every single league. He's the number one guy. His ADP is number one. But I think it's going to be a very tough year for Christian McCaffrey. Other than that, there is some value there fantasy-wise. We'll get into that in a little bit. As far as him, how bad of a season, if any, would this be for McCaffrey with Carolina, knowing that it's looking like a bad offense right now?
Oh, McCaffrey after this year is going to ask for a trade to go somewhere else. He's not going to want to stay in Carolina. Sam Darnold, this is it for him. This is make it or break a year. I give him a pass because he was in the New York Jets scheme where no good quarterback ever comes out of New York whatsoever. This is it. He has to prove himself this year. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's accurate at all. Like you said, Christian McCaffrey is basically the only stud that they have on this team. They're going to focus on him. I think that is going to affect him fantasy-wise, but he's still going to get his numbers. Christian McCaffrey is the only player on this team that I can see value in. And Sam Darnold, the quarterback, plays an awful. They don't have a great wide receiving core. They don't, man. Roby's not that good. I just don't believe it. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but Darnold's gonna have a hell of a bad year, and everyone's gonna focus on Christian McCaffrey, and they're gonna win 3 games. That's it.
I'm gonna tell you this: there is value. Christian McCaffrey, yes, is the value.
That's it.
Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, they have value too.
Sorry, I said Roby. I meant Robbie Anderson. I'm sorry.
No worries. I think I even misspelled Robbie Anderson. No, I didn't. I was like, I thought it was ROBBI. I'm gonna give you one guy, and for all you people out there that maybe are in dynasty leagues and you have a player to stash, go stash you some PJ Walker. Go stash you PJ Walker, please. This kid can play. And I think we see PJ Walker, if this is a bad Carolina team like you're predicting, and Darnold isn't getting it done, I think we see PJ Walker come in this season. Not save the season, not be Mr. Tom Brady, but he's going to make it exciting for this team. This will be an exciting team if we see Mr. PJ Walker enter the game and play with his first string. So for fantasy value, I think that if you are in a super deep fantasy league, and I'm talking dynasty stuff, go get stash a PJ Walker just in case. Just in case. Nobody's ever 100% correct. I know I'm not. But stashing a PJ Walker would be good. I don't see Sam Darnold lasting in this offense.
How many games do you give him?
Guy.
How many games?
What's that?
How many games do you give Sam Darnold?
Before he gets hurt or before he gets yanked?
Before he gets yanked.
Ooh, man. Give me a second here. Let me look up their schedule because he goes against the Jets in week 1.
Okay, that's not even win.
I think that's a win. I think he's going to get the win because he has to stick it to the Jets.
Exactly.
They visit New Orleans. They play against New Orleans after that. Then they play Houston. They could be 3-0.
It could be 3-0.
They could be 3-0. Then they go Dallas, Philadelphia, Minnesota.
Dude, they have an easy. Dude, they might have a winning record after all that.
I can see 3-3 at worst. I can. Now, week 7 is the Giants. I think that's where Sam Darnold has a bad game against a bad Giants team, and we see the end of Darnold ball. Week 8 against the Atlanta Falcons, I think we see PJ Walker come in.
When's our bye week?
Bye week is until week 13.
Okay, so they're not going to wait till the bye week. I would say if it's like bye week 7, week 8, I could see him pulling the string on them right there. But depending on how
Maybe so. If they don't make an addition of a quarterback, like a trade or anything, I can definitely see PJ Walker taking over. I mean, that's a huge shot in the dark there. That's a major shot in the dark. But PJ Walker definitely has some room in that offense, I think, better than Darnold does, for sure. Speaking of shit shows, we've got the New Orleans Saints. I've been seeing Saints fans hyped up about Jameis. I get it. Jameis Winston, he's the best two-way quarterback. Two-way. He can hit his receivers. He can hit the defense. He can do both. He can put up 30 and 30 like nobody's business. I have it quoted. How tough is it going to be without the cool breeze being felt in New Orleans? They are going to miss Drew. Everybody knows that. Michael Thomas will not be the Michael Thomas that we're used to. Alvin Kamara, God rest his playoff career, because it's going to be hell for Kamara. Jameis Winston is not great. He's going to get the job done. Taysom Hill cannot get the job done. These guys needed to go get a quarterback. Jameis is going to live and die by throwing that rock left and right. I do not see good things for New Orleans. Can you basically talk Saints fans off the ledge, Trey? I can't do it. I don't see how it works.
First off, you're a New Orleans Saints fan. You're up for Jameis Winston. Did you not watch your first preseason game? Yeah, he had a great 2-minute drill, whatever the case may be, but he was also awful. He missed a lot of wide open throws. He's wildly inaccurate. He throws a good ball when it's there, but man, he's just wild. I just don't see the improvement, especially if he doesn't have that mentorship in Drew Brees this year. I don't think he's going to be that great of a quarterback. I don't think he's going to save you this year. I think Alvin Kamara is going to have everyone's going to key in on him this offseason because Michael Thomas, he's out first half of the season for first quarter of the season for sure, and they have no deep threat whatsoever for them. They have no one to break over the top. So I think it's going to be a long year for their quarterbacks for the New Orleans Saints, unless Sean Payton has a very good game plan with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. But I think Taysom Hill is going to get the start for all indications coming out of New Orleans. That's what I heard. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard much for the last couple of weeks. But Sean Payton loves Taysom Hill. He ain't a good quarterback. Jameis Winston, I never liked Winston. He's a 30 for 30 guy. You can make a documentary about him. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. I just think – and everyone's like, oh, he got laser eye surgery, but still at the same time, he still has not proved. He had that one good drive. That's it. But I think the whole New Orleans Saints as a team gave up the ball 6 times in a preseason game. That's horrible. I mean, even the Dallas Cowboys didn't do that. So I don't see this offense going anywhere, especially if Michael Thomas doesn't come back. They have no one to beat you over the top with. Alvin Kamara's going to have his hands full trying to carry this offense. The defense is not as stellar as it used to be. I'm selling the stock on the Saints. I think they're going to finish just because of the crappy division that they're in. I think they're going to finish second, but I'm not buying the Saints at all.
Yeah, it's hard for me to buy the Saints. I actually have them finishing last in the NFC South.
Wow.
That's the team. Reason being, now you got to hear me out. I have nothing against Saints or anything like that, but you've already got the Michael Thomas, I don't want to be here.
Exactly.
So your best player, figuratively speaking, we could say one of their best players, Michael Thomas, doesn't want to be there. How much longer before Kamara doesn't want to be there?
At the end of this year. He's
going to be taking a beating. If they don't show signs of improving, we see the end of Sean Payton, probably.
That's what I was fixing to say. I think Sean Payton's at the end of his rope if they have a bad year this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Saints dynasty that was, the contenders every single year with Breeze. That's the reason why you were where you were. Now, they could prove us wrong. They could prove us way wrong. Jameis could come out and have, a brilliant season, and we're all eating crow. We're all eating our words. I just don't see it. I already think you see the unrest with Michael Thomas already. Alvin Kamara is going to put up numbers, but at what cost? I mean, he's going to be a workhorse for this team, and there's no Mark Ingram back there. There's nobody back there. You're talking Latavius Murray, yes, but Latavius Murray isn't the ideal. I mean, he's not a great guy to spell Kamara when you don't have a Drew Brees to help out, and you don't have anybody to get Michael Thomas the ball. And again, Michael Thomas is the best slant guy in all of football. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not a deep threat guy, like you mentioned. There are no deep threat guys. Who else do they have? Traquan Smith. I mean, nobody that's going to be a deep guy for them. So it's going to be a lot of what? West Coast offense, maybe?
Exactly.
I mean, dinky dunk, stuff like that. I feel bad for Kamara. Wow. Fantasy value, you're going to go get Alvin Kamara. You're going to get him. Michael Thomas is the biggest fantasy what if right now, because you're talking about a guy that's been drafted sometimes in the first round of past years, second round latest. I don't know where in the hell you draft Michael Thomas this year. I mean, I've seen him in some drafts go 5th round because of the uncertainty. I can say 5th round, maybe so. I've seen him go as high as 3rd because people are saying, I draft him, and what if he gets traded? Well, then you win the draft. Where does Michael Thomas go, in your opinion, on these draft boards?
This one's the toughest one for me because he is a great wide receiver, but that injury, that lagging foot injury, you can't. How good is he going to be? Because he's going to miss the first quarter of the season. He might be out till November, actually, from all the reports I heard. And then, honestly, maybe 7th, 8th round if I was drafting him, just because of how late it is in the season. And then when he does come back, he ain't going to be that effective because he's not going to be in game shape, because you basically can't do anything off the surgery, the foot injury. So he's not going to be that Michael Thomas until maybe later in December, and the playoffs are already pretty much determined by then. So I'm not buying, maybe 7th, 8th round, maybe. That's where, if I'm drafting, I'm not drafting him anywhere near that.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough call. We're going to get into more of that this weekend, because on the Fantasy Countdown every Sunday from 10 to 11 here on social media, which is going to be Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, we'll get into wide receiver talk this week. Michael Thomas is going to be a huge topic to get in because his ADP is so crazy right now, and we're going to try to give you the best advice. Project Spurs is our network here for Sweep the League. Go visit Project Spurs. Also, DraftKings, as fantasy football is right around the corner. Set up that DraftKings account today. Get your fantasy football kick going right now. We've got one team left, and the one team that everybody's predicting, including myself, to repeat as Super Bowl champions. Everybody loves them some Kansas City Chiefs. I love me some Tampa Bay Buccaneers football. Why? Because this team is literally, and I'm going to say it the way my daughter says it, literally stacked from top to bottom. Tom Brady, a backfield that is so deep that the Titanic had no chance as far as deep as this backfield is. We're talking Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Giovanni Bernard, and why not Keyshawn Vaughn? Keyshawn Vaughn is a rookie in waiting. He's rookie drafted a couple years back, but he's a rookie in waiting. He's still young. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown. Let's not forget Antonio Brown. Now he has a full offseason with Tom Brady and these guys. Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. When Cameron Brate is your third tight end, you've got some good stuff going on. The offensive line, stacked. Tristan Wirfs. Oh, did I mention defense? Sue, Vita Vea, Jason Pierre-Paul. That is their defensive line. William Golston, add him to the mix. The list goes on and on, dude. This team is stacked. No reason why they cannot repeat as Super Bowl champions. If you say they're not going to repeat, Trey, I will stop the stream now, and you're fired from Sweep the League. They have to repeat.
Bye. No, I'm with you in the NFC. I mean, this team's stacked. I mean, they returned the 22 starters, offense and defense. They're all young. Like you said, Devin White, stud on the defensive end. Man, you didn't even mention Mike Evans. The wide receiver, Mike Evans. Who's the other wide receiver who got franchise tag this year? I forgot his freaking name.
Godwin.
Godwin. You got Gronkowski. You got, like you said, Brace, the third string, where he'd be a first string and probably a Pro Bowler on any other team. O.J. Howard. Then the backfield's backed up 4 players deep. You can plug in. So even if they do get hurt, you have players that you can plug in and they won't miss a beat. But I have them going to the Super Bowl. I think that they are the best team in the NFC. I think Kansas City is going to come back and beat them this year. I think we're going to have a revenge Super Bowl. I think that we're going to have a better Super Bowl. I think it's going to be one of the best Super Bowls we've ever seen. I know I said that last year, but I didn't know that Andy Reid was going to mess up that whole offensive line. And Patrick Mahomes have no time for it to save his life. So that I'm just hoping for a Kansas City, Tampa Bay Super Bowl again. If my Dallas Cowboys don't make it, I hope the Dallas Cowboys make it, but we all know that ain't going to happen. We wish that every year. But yeah, like you said, man, I don't know why we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This team's definitely going to NFC. If everyone stays healthy and they don't have any COVID issues or whatever the case may be, forfeit any games, this team's definitely going back to the Super Bowl. No one can beat them on the offensive, defensive side of the ball. Even if Tom Brady goes down, I have you can hand the ball off, and Trask can probably take it from there from the mentorship of Tom Brady and carry that team a little bit too. So I'm all in on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everything. If you want them on fantasy defense, you can have them on defense. If you want any of the wide receivers, they have 3 wide receivers you can get. Tight ends, there's 2 of them you can probably get to. I mean, this team is just stacked. They're loaded. They're ready to rock and roll. I'm all in on the Buccaneers. I think they're going to the Super Bowl.
Dude, exactly. Fantasy value, I don't even think we have to even talk much about fantasy value. You're going to grab just about every offensive player on this team. Some point of the draft, you're going to go grab them. Now, the only part that I see fantasy value that's kind of tough is the running back situation. They have listed right now Leonard Fournette as RB1 for the team. Ronald Jones had the better year last year. Yep. I don't see – for me, I still have Ronald Jones as RB1 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have Leonard Fournette as RB2. But, man, Giovanni Bernard is a nice late grab and stash guy for you because you saw what he did in Cincinnati. He has a way better quarterback and a way better offensive line here. So I think the other part was, yes, you can't – there's only one football.
Yeah, so they proved it last year. It worked.
It did work.
It only works. It only works because you have a veteran in Tom Brady who's already won previously this year, have won 6 Super Bowls and been there and done that. If he wasn't there and we saw with Jameis Winston, right? There's no way they would make it. They would have lost to the Washington football team in the first round last year. The only way this works is with Tom Brady. That's where people undervalue Tom Brady as a football player. He's not the most athletic guy in the world. We all know that. He doesn't throw the most perfect ball all the time, but his leadership and his way to keep a team together through the whole season is what helps make this team great. And that's how they got all their players back again because mostly of Tom Brady talking to these players.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, you go, and I understand what Will's saying. There's only one ball. I totally get that. Yeah.
But he is right about like AJ Brown, like because AJ Brown. I'm not AJ Brown, sorry.
Brown.
Yeah, him. He will he want the ball more because in Pittsburgh and everywhere else he was the man, and now he's with all these all-star caliber players. If Tom Brady can keep him under control and make him happy, then this team's going to be happy, and this team's going to possibly go 16-1, maybe.
I see that. The one loss being for a week 1, right? Cowboys.
Oh heck no, they're going to lose. I'm saying 16. Well, no, if they're undefeated at the 16th week, they will go for that 17-0 record.
Oh yeah, Tom's been craving that.
No, Tom.
He had the perfect season up until he lost to the Giants. He's craving that.
A fluke game.
He's craving it. And you know what else everybody's craving? Everybody's craving fantasy football, man. So we've got the fantasy countdown coming this Sunday again, 10 to 11. Myself, Gio will be here. Will Haverland, the new addition, Will Haverland to our fantasy team. Trey Collis as well. We're going to get into wide receiver and quarterback talk this week. That's going to be fun. We knocked out running backs and tight ends for sure. Wide receiver. This is going to be good. Where does Michael Thomas go? We're going to find out this weekend, Sunday, 10 to 11 on the fantasy countdown. Tonight, we swept the AFC South and the NFC South. We're telling you right now, the Indianapolis Colts, they're going to be good. Carson Wentz, if he stays healthy, they're going to be good. Trey is making out just fine with the Titans pick. I'm going to give him the Titans pick. He says they're going to win the division. How right do you think Trey is? We're going to find out how right Trey is. I have the Colts winning the division. As far as the NFC South goes, I don't think either one of us is going to deny. Yeah, I don't think any one of us is going to deny the fact that
the Buccaneers might have this wrapped up by Thanksgiving Day.
Buccaneers probably wrap this up around week 5, maybe week 4. So, but I have the Saints finishing last. You have the Panthers finishing last. It's going to be fun to see. PJ Walker, Dynamite Walker himself. Definitely want to go get you some Dynamite Walker when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. But for Trey Collis, Rudy Campos Jr., we swept the league tonight, the NFL. Week 1's right around the corner. Next week, we'll be tackling – let me see what I got on the docket next week so that way you guys can join. And hey, it's North. It's cold football. Next Wednesday here on Sweep the League. AFC North, NFC North. That's going to be fun. The week after, we'll be doing the AFC East and the NFC East. We saved the best for last.
The best division.
Best for last. The best, worst division for last. The NFC East coming up in a couple of weeks. So for Trey Collis, Coach Gio will be back this weekend and next week as well. Rudy Campos Jr. Thank you for everybody for sweeping the league. Remember, HTO Medical Center. We're going to be hitting that place up here pretty soon. We're going to get a lot of you guys to join us as well. Fantastic people, fantastic place. Go get some tea out there. Project Spurs Network. Go visit those guys. They do a lot of great work, a lot of great articles. And DraftKings, fantasy football around the corner. I have 7 drafts lined up next weekend. I have no idea how I'm going to get to all of them, but I'll make it work somehow. 7 out of the 15 drafts that I'm going to be a part of start next weekend. So definitely go get some DraftKings. Don't be like me and don't join all these drafts. Go get some daily fantasy fix on DraftKings. Sign up today. So for Trey Collis, Rudy Campos Jr., we swept the league again. Till next Wednesday, we'll be back.